I'm your host, Stephen Vanover, here on the Sports Talk Line Network, where we talk sports 24/7, 365. This is the Giants Talk Line Weekly. We are here to preview the upcoming week, the game between the New York Giants and the Washington football team, with none other than Mr. New York Giant himself, Tom McAllister. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thanks for having me, Van.
Well, look, man, let's jump right to it. We already reviewed last week's game on the NFC East Weekly Show, shameless plug number one. And before we get started, I have to ask everyone, please hit that subscribe button down below. Slap that little notify bell. Without you, this doesn't work. Thank you so much for being here. Tom, it is a game, as we were saying in the green room, two teams that are a lot alike, yeah?
Yes. They all have, I guess, the same strengths and weaknesses. When you look at it, when you look at the Washington football team, they have a great defense. They got Chase Young, who is so far has been living up to expectations, and he's missed some time too. So you got to know he was going to be a lot better once he starts getting healthy. They got Montez Sweat, who leads the team with 3 sacks, and you also got John Bostic, who's a threat, to say the least. So the Washington team already has 3 dynamic players that can get to the quarterback, which has been the Achilles heel for the New York Giants the last decade. And also they got, former safety Landon Collins, who took a pretty penny to go to Washington. So you got to wonder if he's going to get geared up for this team and how David Gettleman let him walk out.
Well, a common denominator for almost all professional athletes at that level is they are master self-motivators. So, yeah, they always tend to do well against former teams for whatever reason, right?
Don't know why. Psychologists have been studying it for 50 or 60 years. They can't think of why. So defensively, Washington looks like they could be a matchup problem for the Giants. But on the other side of the ball, a lot of people are talking about the Giants' issues at quarterbacks. But then you look at Washington, Dwayne Haskins came in as their number 1 quarterback, and they're already talking about trading him. And you got to wonder, will anyone even take him? They put in Kyle Allen at quarterback, and he got hurt, and they brought in Alex Smith, who has missed the last 2 years out of this. So you got to wonder, if you're the Washington franchise, if Dwayne Haskins is on the way out, all right, are we going to go with Allen, or are we going to go with Smith? Because Smith is someone who, he has playoff experience. If you build the right team around him, he will win you games. He's not going to throw up monster 500-yard games, but if you get a running offense, you can manage the offense. If you have a great defense, he can bring you on to the precipice of winning a Super Bowl, which is something that a lot of people kind of forgot. And also, I like Antonio Gibson. I think he's the leading rusher for Washington, and he's also a dual threat, as he has 122 yards receiving. So I think that's kind of interesting. And one of the players I really like is wide receiver Terry McLaurin. He has over 400 yards this season, and he's had 3 people throwing the ball already in 5 weeks. Just imagine if he gets the number 1 quarterback, the numbers that he'll put up.
They have talent, don't they? I mean, they have talented pieces, but like you say, now they ran into a buzzsaw last week, Aaron Donald with the Rams. So, okay. I take everything that happens in that game for their offense with a grain of salt. But you could definitely tell that, and the talk coming out of there is that Alex Smith is their guy. All right, they just wanted to give him another week to get ready, and he didn't get that. But he didn't do too badly, considering that he had Aaron Donald draped all over him. I mean, he tested the leg, didn't he?
It's not a way to welcome back to the NFL. Here's Aaron Donald, who is going to destroy your offensive line and have a career game against you.
No mercy, none.
I think, the Giants have an improved pass rush since last year, but I don't think it's at the level. They don't have a player like Aaron Donald. Lorenzo Carter got injured during the Dallas game. He's out for the season with an Achilles injuries.
Right.
There are some decent players. Dexter Lawrence is having a solid second year. Dalvin Tomlinson had a big game. He had 6 tackles, a sack, and 2 tackles for loss against Dallas. So, the Giants have a decent defensive line. Their linebacker core got better with Blake Martinez, who's a tackling machine. Kyle Frackel, he was able to get a 46-yard interception return against Dak Prescott last week. you have Lorenzo Carter who got hurt, but Marcus Golden was able to take the reps. And remember, Marcus Golden led the Giants for sacks last year. The Giants secondary has been a lot better than what people expected. James Bradbury is playing a phenomenal cornerback. So I see him being matched up with McLaren going forward, which is kind of going to be something to see, how they develop. But one of the major issues that we haven't talked about for the Giants is they always close off the first half giving up points.
They do. And a lot of it, I tell you what, comes back. And what we haven't really talked about for either team yet is both teams' biggest Achilles weakness. So with Washington now, I'd have to put it at quarterback, though I think Alex Smith is going to solve that for them. He may need a few weeks to get up to speed. Regardless, both teams have offensive line issues. Now, I don't think that the Giants' offensive line issues are anywhere near as bad as the Washington football team's offensive line issues. And I tell you what, the Giants' defensive line, those guys have to be licking their chops, thinking about, wow, I get a chance, man.
I think this is a game where all defensive players are like, you know what, this is my next contract. Where, I can get an interception or two, I can get a fumble, I can get a few sacks. They'll bring me up to the next tax bracket. On both sides, you got to be looking at that. If you're a Giants player, you got to be like, no, Alex Smith hasn't played a game, or, he just came back in action for 2+ years. You got to wonder if he's going to be jittery. If you're the Washington football team, Daniel Jones feels like leads America in touchdowns, and not touchdowns, in interceptions. Daniel Jones has not thrown a touchdown pass since week 1. We're entering week 6. The one thing I will say, though, the Giants' offensive line did look better running the ball. You actually saw some guards pulling. You actually saw some push going forward. So you need to see, is this momentum going to work out? Is this going to show up again against a much better defensive front?
Well, that really is the question, isn't it? The Cowboys are ranked last in the league in defense, but Washington is ranked 22nd. So that's a bigger jump. And to be more specific, they do fairly well against the run. They give up big chunk pass plays. So this is going to be interesting. But what you guys have done with Freeman coming in, I think that your running game, I think your whole game is coming around. And the Cowboys, that's almost like, the bigger schools do in college, that first game of the season where they schedule the worst defense they can find so that they can get in rhythm, You guys look good at times. I mean, really good at times on offense. It wasn't a matter of like, oh, wow, I just somehow scored 30 points. No, you guys moved the ball. You had drives. And then when you got in some third down situations, you made some plays.
Yes.
I thought it was very impressive. All right, let's go to the phase of the show where we always talk about the 3 phases of the game, because usually, as great minds have said, that's my shameless Jimmy Johnson plug, right? Got to get the Cowboys in here somehow.
Of course.
Is that, the team that wins 2 of the 3 phases wins the game. So the offensive phase of the game, on offense, the New York Giants are rated 26th in the league right now on offense. The Washington offense is 31st in the league. Not quite last, but I mean, they're tapping on that last door really hard. And I think the Giants can help put them there this week if they have an inspired effort. Regardless, which offense is going to do better in that phase of the game?
I think the Giants offense is going to do better. I think the last few times the Giants played, I think Daniel Jones had about 5 touchdowns the last time they played Washington in the infamous Chase Young Bowl, I think they were calling it.
The last score was New York Giants 41, Washington, another name then, 35. Mm-hmm. So, you guys put up some serious points in that game. Drop a 40 burger, that works.
Yeah. So I definitely think, and also I think Darius Slayton is a player who, he had a big game last week against Dallas, and I anticipate a big game going forward this week.
Well, hold on. Did Darius Slayton play Dallas last week?
Yeah, he only had about 7.
Then he had a big game. Okay. Did the offensive player play Dallas? Yeah, they had a big game. Okay, there you go. But he capitalized. He capitalized. All right, now let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball right now. The Washington defense is ranked 22nd in the league. They do not suck. They jack up the run pretty well. They do give up splash plays down the field in the passing game, but they have talent. But the Giants, on the other hand, are ranked 19th in the league, and that's after facing the Dallas Cowboys offense, which ain't chopped liver. Okay, who do you think is going to win the offensive battle?
I see Washington has a better defense, just the talent there, and I feel like when you got Chase Young, who if you're 85% and you're a defensive player, you're going to find yourself to be healthy enough to play against the Giants.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel. Montez Sweat, I see him going out.
Kendrick
Young and Bostic, I see them being able to pressure the quarterback, because if you're seeing Andrew Thomas at left tackle, he's been struggling so far. They found some mechanical issues that they hopefully could improve. We'll see if that happens.
They also have Kerrigan. I mean, he's the old guy, but man, does he bring it,
Yeah, trust me. I'll tell you this. If good pass rushers, they stay in the league for a long, long time.
The good ones seem to. The good ones seem to.
Yeah, the good ones do. I think the Giants had someone named Pierre Paul. I don't know what happened with him. So those are kind of certain things to.
So which defense is going to play better? The Giants defense, which is ranked 19th, or the Washington defense, which is currently ranked 22nd?
I think Washington, because they have too many.
Wow. Okay. All right.
So
now special teams, they're both tied for 24th in the league.
I got to go with the Giants, because Graham Gano kicked 3 50-plus yard field goals in this last week, so he's showing his old form, which of course would have helped if the Giants got within field goal range at the end of the fourth quarter, but
we're not going to dwell on that. All right, that means you're picking the Giants to win 2 out of the 3 phases. Are you also picking them to take this game and get back into the NFC East race?
Yes, I'll go Giants 23, Washington 14.
I think, a score right in that range works out really well. I also am picking the Giants to win. I give the Giants actually all 3 phases. I think they're going to win offense, special teams, and on defense. I just think that there's I think the talent level on the Washington defense is better. Well, when you're talking about individual players, I think they have more elite individual players. But I think there's bigger holes on the Washington defense than there is in the New York Giants defense. I think the Giants defense is much better balanced on all 3 levels, and I think that's going to be the difference against a Washington offense that has found no rhythm this year whatsoever.
Yeah, they haven't. There's issues with who their quarterback is, and it's almost like the winning team, you're going to be like, well, can we get this Trevor Lawrence guy if we lose? Because you got to wonder if both of these teams are tanking. So, but I think it might be a little bit too early. But both of them have new coaches. They're bringing new offensive and defensive systems. And it looks like, as of right now, that week 1 game against Philly for Washington was an apparition. A lot of people.
And not only that, the Giants ran into the number 3 ranked offense last week, and the defense did not lose the game, in my opinion, for the Giants. I thought that they played well. Now, can they play better? Of course they can play better. But you're asking a lot against an offense that puts up that many points. And actually, until Dak Prescott went down, I thought they were doing a darn fine job. Then the Cowboys got all emotional, changed up what they were doing, and I think it really messed up your game plan when they all of a sudden they flipped back, and flipped the script.
Yeah.
And then playing a team that's emotional like that, I think that definitely changed that game. But the game coming up this week, I think you guys are set up to win, get back in the race. I'm sorry it's going to screw you up for the sweepstakes, for the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, but that just is what it is, right?
Yeah, well, I also think too there's a left tackle out of Oregon who looks like, hypothetically, it's October, so New York Giant fans are already talking about the NFL draft. So you can draft another left tackle, switch Andrew Thomas to right. Maybe find Matt for a different position on the offensive line. Hopefully that fixes the issue, but
that would be incredible. I know that. And then again, Saquon Barkley coming back. All right, look, that's all. So our call to action to end the show. Yeah, Rado, we're listening to you, bud. All right, please leave in the comments who you think is going to win and why. All right, and before you go, be sure and hit that subscribe, hit that notify button, give us a retweet, give us a like, repost us on Facebook, get us out there. Without you, there's nothing happening. You can follow me on Twitter at Stephen Vanover, and Mr. Tom McAllister coming to us from New York City. You find him on Twitter at deepins_com. You can see it right there on the screen, deepins_com. And thanks. Until next time, everybody, listen like you play with intensity.